What is up, everybody, and welcome to this very, very special episode of the Start Build Grow Show. Today, we're going to be diving into my secret sauce. How did myself and our team build the number one company in one of the most competitive markets in the country? I'm going to share my secrets in just a minute. Stay tuned. All right, welcome to the show. As I premised, our secret sauce is our amazing marketing team that's been working with us for 15 years, 14 years, something like that, a long time. And these two have built one of the top female-owned marketing companies in the country, servicing roofers as well as the home service industry across the country. And you guys have done some amazing things. And I've just been blessed to have you in my life and help market for our company. But welcome in Devon and Amanda Joyce with Elevation Marketing. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having us. We're so excited to be on. It's been a minute. We love talking with you.
It has been a minute. I know you came on a little while. It's been years, but lots have changed, not only in your business and our lives, but also in the world of online marketing. So we're going to get into a lot of cool stuff. But before that, I mean, this is a show about entrepreneurship, and you both have become entrepreneurs and built an awesome business. So give me a quick backstory. I'm going to start with Amanda. Give me your backstory and kind of how you worked your way into where you became partners with Devon and Elevation Marketing.
So early on in my career, I was working at agencies and did that whole world for a long time. That's where I learned about paid media and everything. And then I was lucky enough to meet Devon years later because she married Cody, one of my best friends, and yours too, Randy. So at first we were honestly just colleagues who would bounce ideas off of each other. I always knew she was brilliant. She would hand me work when it fell into my world, and I would do the same for her. And then finally, we were working together on some elite stuff, and finally we decided we really wanted to go all in together. And it just made sense that we knew that we wanted to focus on this niche because they were our favorite clients. Obviously, you and Cody came to the top of that list, but we were getting more and more into the home service space, and we just saw the impact we were having on these businesses. And it just felt really good. And so we just decided we were going to go all in with this vertical, and we've never looked back.
Love it. What about your side there, Deb?
Mostly I saw Cody being able to go snowboarding, and I was in the corporate grind and, commuting an hour every day, sitting at meetings about meetings. And I'm like, there's got to be something better. And so actually inspired by Cody and you and how you guys created the life you wanted to live, but you worked really hard, and you made up for it on the back end. But I'm like, I could do that. If I could snowboard during the day and make up time at night because we got, 2 feet of powder, how do I build that life? So I was actually really inspired by Cody and you and the lifestyle you guys were living. And I had gone from construction and engineering world and marketing for them to finance. I jumped for a big pay increase and the grass was not greener. And so, watching Cody and wanting to get out of the corporate grind is what really motivated me to start Elevation Marketing. In 2014, I went full-time with it. So that was the motivation.
Interestingly enough, for those of you who may be just tuning in, he's been on the show, but we're mentioning our mutual friend / husband, work husband, is my business partner Cody Hayes. So he's been on the show a couple times. So definitely go back and subscribe and kind of check out some of those shows. But every great business, I believe, is a culmination of great people, and he's been a blessing to have. And he's the one grinding things out in the background, and I'm the face of this thing, getting to do the show and all the things. But at the end of the day, he's the one who really executes and makes things happen. So shout out to my man, Cody. So spirit of entrepreneurship, can you maybe tap into that moment that you were like, I'm going to go do this. I'm done with the corporate world. I'm ready. I'm going to go do this. Walk me through that.
Sure. So I was hating my life in the finance world. I jumped from construction and engineering into finance. Like I said, I jumped for a paycheck. And then my old boss from my company I was at before, it was a really kind of complicated thing. They did construction defect litigation. So they would act as expert witnesses in these multi-million, sometimes billion-dollar cases. And so marketing that service, I learned a lot. It was just a complex service. So I had been gone about 6 months, and my old boss, who I loved and respected very, very much, still do, reached out and was like, we have been through 2 marketing people in 6 months. They can't just get the most basics across. Can you moonlight for us while you're working for this finance company? And so I was like, sure. And then he's like, what's your price? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what to charge. I'm like, I know, because I already knew it, and I had that intellectual property, that IP. I didn't realize like how much that was worth to someone who had then hired and fired 2 people. And, every time you hire someone, that's at least 10 grand, and then you got to fire them. And then, so anyway, I came up with a price. And from that, and then just feeling, meeting with him and talking about some of the other things they wanted my help with and my insight, I realized, I guess, that I knew more than I thought I did. And so that, coupled with seeing Cody, coupled with hating my job, I just started to think, how can I get out and do this on my own? I'm like, I do have the skill set now. I've worked for a couple construction companies, a GC, and then this engineering firm. So that's what it was. It was honestly my old boss coming to me and believing in me and telling me about how 2 people had failed at my job that I had done for about 4 years, I think. So, yeah.
I love it. Sometimes we just need that little like nudge, right? And just,
Yeah.
all right, let's jump off the cliff and start building our wings. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I love it.
Totally.
All right, so let's get into like some clarity pieces here. So digital marketing, right? That's a thing everybody knows about. You got to have a website, got to have digital marketing. But here's the reality of, like, I can't even keep up with the amount. Like, it seems like every day things are evolving, things are changing. It's just like a whirlwind. And you guys, every time we meet, I'm like, holy crap, this much new stuff has come out, and you stay on top of it all the time. But before we get like really deep into that, like, let's set the groundwork of understanding the difference, right? Marketing is one thing and branding is different. Like, what are some nuances between the two, and then how do those two worlds collide to help you dominate your market?
That's a great question. So your brand is the identity of your company, permeates everything. It's part of your marketing, but marketing is, we could get into how you're going to define that all day, every day, but really having a brand that you have identified and that you're really leaning into and that you are promoting in your local market is critical to help yourself stand out. So you're not just the next roofing company that came in and is setting up shop and starting to go out and door knock. So branding is, everything from your logo to your website to the user experience you're providing online. It's your identity.
Yeah. And in the most simplest form, it's like, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. What do they say when you're not standing right there? That would be your brand, in the most simplistic form.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great way. And what do they say? It takes like 7 impressions just for somebody to recognize a brand?
I heard 7. I've heard 8 to remember you. I think it's like 8 times. At least that's what the radio world people tell you. But yeah, that repetition.
Yeah. And so, branding aside, obviously vitally important, marketing. What's kind of your take on what is marketing separate from branding?
Okay. Yeah.
Loaded question. We'll see you in a couple hours.
How do you eat an elephant? No. Gosh, I saw a really cool creator online break this down, and it was something like, I broke down like the circus versus the promotion of the circus versus of people knowing what the circus is. So there's kind of a distinction between, product, place, promotion, all that good stuff. So branding is the trust that you instill in someone when they see your logo. Before you've had a chance to tell them what you do, what you're about, you're hoping through your brand, they've seen you in different places. They see the Elite Roofing and Solar logo at a Little League game. It's on a banner. They hear it on the radio. They hear it on the Christian radio station. They see these posts about Elite Roofing and Solar doing Habitat for Humanity. So your brand is all these places where they're not really converting, and marketing is getting them to take the action you want them to take. So branding, I think, is about instilling trust, and marketing is about getting them to take the action you want them to take. That's how I would try to break it down, I guess.
No, I think that was well done. And digital is everything nowadays. It's like, you got to have the print and the signs and the trucks and all the things like that. But at the end of the day, if you're not focusing a lot of effort and energy on your website and the Google and the AI and the algorithms and all the things, like, you're going to get passed up really quick. And you can put a bunch of energy there and still get passed up if you're not focusing and paying attention. So walk me through some of the, maybe some of the things that in the last couple of years have evolved from, let's focus on the SEO side first, and then maybe go into some other things. I'm trying to narrow them down, so I'm keeping so broad.
I know, kind of keep them in. Well, and that's what's funny. That's why like the topic of this podcast is great, like talking about branding as it relates to SEO and as it relates to paid media, because that's the shift that we've seen since the introduction of AI and large language models, and our user behavior. We're turning to these LLMs for instant answers instead of researching to scroll through Google and try to find the answer there. Our behavior has shifted and we want an instant answer. We don't want to click through 5 links to get the answer to what the best recipe is for spaghetti. We want to know right away. So the way that's impacted SEO is Google has shifted from like keywords and backlinks to wanting to understand who your business is, what your business does, and where it does it. So instead of matching, a search query, your Google search to, and then serving you an answer that on some website it has that exact keyword that you typed in, now Google wants to understand us as the user, and not just Google, like large language model. Well, I'll get into that. But the idea is understanding the results that it provides, that any large language model or search engine, they want to understand the answer they provide instead of matching exact words with exact answers on the search engine results page. So that shift, the way that works is Google wants to understand who Elite Roofing and Solar is, for example. They want to know what services you provide and where you provide them. And then the way SEO has changed, because it's how we started. We started with SEO. We got there. SEO has changed in a way that we have to reinforce who you are, what you do, and where you do it for both robots and humans. And it's much broader than just keywords and backlinks, which was like, old-timey SEO. Now we've moved into entity SEO or answer engine SEO, and it's all connected. But now you have like these sub SEO services like AEO and ESEO and like all these other variations of it. But it's getting you found online and making sure that AI and Google understands who you are, what you do, and where you do it, instead of just matching a search with an answer. Hopefully that makes sense. I geek out and I get way too granular sometimes. So I don't know.
And that is quite all right, because you're a lot smarter than me, and I'm okay with it because I get to work with you. So so on that note, we mentioned AI, I mentioned lots of acronyms, but large language models and AI type things, right?
Yes.
And it's really cool. I just looked at every week, every month we look at all the leads and kind of see where they're coming from. And I went and talked to our admin, and she's like, yeah, I got a couple of leads from ChatGPT. I'm like, what? We were like is that like a thing? Like how do people find my company through ChatGPT? Like, can you even how do you influence that? Like how do you do that?
That's what we're doing with entity SEO and Google understanding who you are, and LLMs like ChatGPT, a large language model, understanding who you are. So you do that. It's technical SEO. We've all been doing it for years. There's just kind of a newer, nuanced way, more strategic way to do it now for AI to understand your website, your business, your service offerings, where you do them. It's taking what used to be like the instructions of a recipe, like first boil the water, then do X, Y, Z. Now we just have it like, here's your ingredients list. This is what you do. And you make it really easy for LLMs to read, and they pull from that. There's a basic way to do it. And then there's a super strategic, intense 4,000 lines of code way to do it. But that's the short answer. There's, I hate getting so granular, but yes.
Well, yeah. And I think a lot of this I know a big project you guys have been working on with us is like for many, many years, underlying, right? Website, face pictures, all the things, but like blogging and like creating content to feed all this. And I think that's something that doesn't get talked about enough, and the importance of that. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but that has a lot to do now with how a lot of this stuff works this day and age. Is that correct?
Yeah, that piece of it. And I'll kind of turn it over to Amanda here, because she headed up the content side of our agency for a long time, and we now were able to hire and delegate that. So I say past tense, but the blogging leads itself to the expertise and the authority in the space. And that's still part of Google's algorithm of expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. It looks for signals in those 4 areas, but I'll let Amanda talk more about kind of blogging and how it impacts your visibility in AI and then also on Google.
Yeah. So like Devon said, I managed it for years, and we were taking a different focus on it back when I was managing it too, which is kind of nice. It's evolved since I kind of have been hands off with it. So it's fun to learn about it, but not actually have to execute on it. But back in the day, we were producing like 1 blog a week. It was like blogging. And it was a lot to keep up with. And now we're realizing more that it's way more important anymore with the way Google's looking at things to create content that really still makes you the authority in the space, but we don't have to just keep producing content for the sake of content. It's better to have longer, meatier pieces of content that really support that authoritativeness and really feed the large language models exactly what it is they need, but you don't just have to keep telling the same story in a new blog. So it actually it's kind of a relief to us SEOs that we don't have to be that worried about. I mean, it was always about quality too, but quantity was a thing. And it's not as much about that anymore. It's really about just really making sure that you're getting that point across, that you're answering every FAQ possible. You're talking about all the products you're using, you're really positioning yourself as the authority in the space. And that feeds exactly into those large language models that will then go pull excerpts from it and serve it up in that zero-click search that we all see now, where you ask Google a question and you don't even have to leave the search results. It'll just tell you right there, and then it'll cite its source. And if people keep asking questions and they keep seeing your brand coming up in those search results, answering the questions that they're deciding on as they go through their buyer journey, it's just going to increase the likelihood that you're going to be the brand that they're going to go ahead and complete that form on, or they're going to pick up the phone because, wow, you answered every question they needed as they were kind of moving through the process of making a decision.
Gotcha. So is there a way to are we trying to reverse engineer this, or how does that work?
We never stop trying to reverse engineer anything. Like, why did that one work and this one didn't? And then we have to kind of stop and look and
the structure of it. Yeah, we'll look at character count. Did we ask a question in the headline and then answer it within 160 characters right afterwards? How many links did we have? Did we have bullet points? Did we have lists? How many internal links? How many external links? What was the anchor text or the words that we linked? What were those? Where did they go? How many reviews did we get that week in conjunction with when this was published? How long has this sat out there? We nerd out internally here when we're we kind of love a problem child because it makes us smarter. So when things are going, we're being challenged, we learn a lot because we have this secret weapon to Josefina in our agency. She is this brilliant mind who spreadsheets galore, and she'll find the variance in this thing and that thing, and she'll know. It's amazing. So problem children, we love in our agency because it really helps us try to solve a problem and learn something new and then test it in a new market. Because our agency is niched down, we can look at our data set between just our roofers, just our siding contractors, just our landscapers. We can really look at that data and come up with some good ideas and then apply it in different markets, and then it works. And we're yeah, good.
And sometimes we pull quarterlies too. We're like, what happened that week? We were doing all the right stuff, but why is it so good? We also love that when we're we just started kicking ass out of nowhere, and we're what was the, and we have to go reverse engineer that. That's a fun problem to have too. Why are we so awesome? How did we get there?
Yeah. You're assessing it constantly, but when it's going well, you don't.
Yeah, I think there's a big takeaway there, not just in marketing, but just in life and in business, right? Constant assessment of every move. Right. But there's a difference here, there's a nuance here, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs tend to want to figure it all out before they make the move, instead of those who just make the move and evaluate the move. Right. It's do the thing, make the mistake, analyze the mistake, and then fix it. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Guess what happens? You move a lot faster, a lot farther, and you get a lot better sooner versus those that just analyze and try to preemptively anticipate all the issues there, all the mistakes, or all the issues that are going to come with this situation, and they don't make a decision, right? They say the number one key thing to differentiate some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world versus some that just really struggle and don't see a ton of success, it's decision making. And exactly what you're talking about is making a decision, learning from that decision, analyzing, tracking, measuring, and making adjustments. And I think that is so vitally important. You guys have kind of mastered that. You've almost become obsessive about that. And that's a great thing.
Yeah, to the point where it's kind of nice to be able to tell a client, you can predict to them, hey, this is going to happen when we do this move. It's okay. We know about it. We know what we're doing here. But yeah, we very much at this agency, when we're hiring and talking to people, we let them know hey, mistakes are okay. Accountability and correcting them, that's what we need to do. Amanda and I both geeked out on the book, The Obstacle is the Way. And I know I've talked to you about it, Randy, offline. It's so true. It's okay. It's okay. Just learn from it and don't dwell and move forward, or else, especially in our industry, you can second guess yourself all day long because Google does not share their ranking, Bible. We have a pretty good idea. Most SEOs do, but it's so nuanced with every market, every vertical, and every client. You find something different. You can't, there's no cookie cutter solution, as much as like a lot of business owners would like to say, okay, I found this agency and they promised me this package and they promised me these results because they've gotten it for 10 other people. It doesn't work that way, because you don't have, how long have you owned your domain? Like there's just so many. How active is the owner on social media? What, that has an impact? Why, yes, it does. Who are you connected to on LinkedIn? That impacts even how your company's website ranks, because how much of an expert and how much of an authority you are in a space impacts how your website ranks, because that is one of those trust signals to Google. So it's like, you can't get sold. It's so nuanced with everybody. You really, and understanding that, I think, as a business owner is huge. As long as you don't expect or get promised results, because there's no agency that could promise anything, in terms of like SEO. Paid media is a different story. That's a lot more black and white, and that's Amanda's wheelhouse over there, where she can
but it's like, even with SEO, it's the same thing with paid, where the rules change all the time. Like, as soon as I think I have it figured out, Google rolls out a new ad platform or a new version of their ads, and they're like, this is the way to go, and you have to go learn it. So it never stops.
What is up? It's Randy Brothers. If you are a roofing contractor who's tired of feeling stuck, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you're doing everything yourself, hey, I get it. I've been there, and that is exactly why I created the Roofing Academy. We have built a program that gives you real-world support, from dialing in your CRM system, dialing in your workflows, helping you hire the right people, and teaching you how to actually understand your numbers. We combine that with a group mastermind, a community of other roofers who are on the same journey, and our step-by-step patented roofing success system. It's not just coaching, it's a roadmap to help you grow your business, build your team, and get back your time. If you're ready to stop guessing and finally build a business without having to do everything, let's talk. Go to theroofingacademy.com or just click that link below for an absolutely free discovery call. I can't wait to connect with you and help you with your next move.
Yeah, well, real quick, and let's just lean into that, right? I'm just a new roofer, new entrepreneur trying to figure out life. I know I need a website. I know I'm limited on budgets, but I'm just trying to educate myself. We've heard terms of AdWords and paid media and local search, local Google, GSLA. What are the things? Give me a quick definition. I know that's your world, Amanda. Help me understand the difference between the two, and maybe an idea of where I should allocate some funds and test these things.
Absolutely. Okay, so Google local service ads, you've heard LSA, you've heard GLSA. Google local service ads is like the most simple version of Google ads you can run right now. And they rolled them out a few years ago, just like Google ads. Once upon a time, they were like the golden goose. And those of us that knew about it just could kill it, because there wasn't that much competition in the space, especially in the roofing market. LSA is pretty saturated. So probably a lot of people listening might even be like, I've tried to run it. I can't get any phone calls from it. You're not alone if that's your experience. But I would tell you that if you were green and trying to figure out where to spend first, the first thing I would do is set up a Google local service ads account, which requires a Google business profile. And then you can literally Google it. It'll be the first search result. Google local service ads. You click on it, you have to do a background check and submit proof of insurance and some stuff. Step by step, you get in there. Ideally, if you can get visibility on that, it's the cheapest click you're going to get with the most intention. You can get cheaper clicks on other platforms, but it's more passive. This is someone actually going to Google and typing in roofing contractor near me, that top spot. We all want it. It's what we'd kill for it for SEO, but even when we're ranking number 1 in SEO, LSA is above it. And so these ads, you can click on them and to call, or you can message depending on what's turned on. And those ones, like, depending on the market, we see them for like $75 a call. We see them for $150, but still cheapest, most high intent you can get. So that's where I would focus first. Google Ads is a platform I cut my teeth on in 2005. It's been around for a very long time. And I still love it for a lot of reasons, because you have so much more control in there. But Google is giving the top spot to LSA before it gives it to Google Ads. especially for roofers. We could talk about other verticals, but if you're talking home services, LSA gets the top spot almost all the time, and then followed by Google Ads. So that's another great opportunity, especially for longer tail keywords. You know, like how much does a roof cost? Enter your city name, something long like that. You can still sometimes buy that top spot. LSA doesn't take it, but those short, really good terms where someone has a lot of buyer intent, Google always serves LSA up very first. And then there's a million other platforms we could talk about too. But those are kind of the meat. One of the things really quickly though, like on social media and stuff like that, Devon and I kind of go back and forth when we talk to our clients about whether or not to run social media ads. If you're trying to reinforce your brand, they're amazing and they can really help with everything Devon was just talking about. But you have to keep in mind, a viewer of a social media ad did not get on Facebook to look for a roofer. If they go to Google Ads or to Google and they type in roofing contractor near me, they're in search of your service. So that's why they're different mediums, they have different benefits. But if you're just trying to get the phone ringing, I would tell you Google products is going to be where you should get started.
Love it. And that's the age-old debate is social media versus Google, right? And you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to Facebook to find a roofer, right? It's like I'm going there to be entertained. And I'm starting to see a lot more of this where even contractors, they're just doing a lot more entertainment-based, brand-based, awareness-based, ads and content, just because I think that's just more the way to stay top of mind. And then people are still going to go to the Google machine and search out that person or that service that they need. So we danced around a little bit, but branding, okay? We premised the show about like, what can we do this day and age? You guys have held, we've been the top, one of, if not top contractors, or the top rated contractor or roofing contractor in the Denver market for a number of years now. And that's not just because of one, but that's because of like a ton of work that goes in the back end. But if I'm leaning towards that and I know I want to work my way towards that, and it's funny because I remember 15 years ago when we first started a company, I was like, it's going to take us a while, but our goal and our mission was to become a household name. And we wanted to become a household brand. And you guys have tremendously helped us do that. So give the viewers, give the listeners some ideas of how to leverage, and put energy into building that brand online and how that's going to help them long-term in their digital marketing strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so much here, but it is always going to start with your Google business profile and your website. You have to have that visibility before you're going to move into all the stuff all the advertising and everything that I can offer that I'm going to want to talk about too, that reinforces it. But what Devon was talking about earlier with reinforcing your brand and really getting that entity out there, you need to have a solid Google business profile that tells that brand story inside and out. You need to have a solid website that does the same thing. Because at the end of the day, kind of all arrows are pointing back to those two digital assets. And then from there, we're able to go in and add in all kinds of different advertising opportunities as well to go ahead and continue to support that brand and grow it. And to your point, Randy, to make it a household name.
And I think there's a lot of what Elite was open to and has always been open to is how involved you guys have been in the community from the start. And things like, when you sponsor a little league team and you have that banner on the home field and there's a QR code and people scan it, or people before QR codes had the greatest comeback of all time, we would type in the URL into our phones. And what we learned in the Google leak of May 2014 is that all of those clicks from all those different areas, they actually have an impact on your positioning. So your marketing doesn't always have to be about lead acquisition. Your build your brand outside in your community. And I think a lot of your guests have said that before, Randy, where it's like, I've heard 5 Mile Famous. I think that's Joe Hughes. And then I think Tim Brown is, talked about like working in your community a bit.
Yeah. Like the hometown hero thing.
Hometown hero. Yep. So, and it's so true. And that is because it impacts how Google views you. So on my cell phone, I scan your QR code in this area where you want to work. That's a signal to Google. All of that is recorded for 13 months for anyone on Chrome. So that has an impact. So even if you're a new roofer and you're thinking like, I have a very tight marketing budget, where do I spend it? Amanda and I, we always tell our guys, we're like, listen, go sponsor the PTA at your school. You can spend $30 or $100 a month to print their newsletter. Then that goes in every Friday folder, every parent scanning that and reading that. And every time your website gets hit, even if they're not taking an action, don't worry about that. It's just about building your brand and how Google views your brand. That all impacts you and is huge. It helps you digitally, and you don't think about it because you think you're helping, the school or helping the PTA. But those small opportunities to get in front of people and get in front of eyeballs in your community that are not as expensive as Google Ads and stuff like that, they have a really big impact on you. And Elite, from the very beginning, you guys have always donated back to every single roof that you've built. And so those nonprofits are then looking to you. They're looking you up as well. So you've built this footprint and been open to things that build your footprint that aren't direct lead acquisition channels. And so I think that's a miss. A lot of companies that are starting out, they think fill the pipeline. I need to see direct ROI, when there's actually a lot of ROI that is hard to capture when it's brand based.
Yeah. And I think that's a big misconception. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially for someone starting out on a low budget. Is, they want to be able to measure, I spend X amount of dollars and I get X amount of results. Like,
yeah.
And rightfully so.
Tell you, they want you to measure.
It's human nature, right? Rightfully so. But the reality of it, and I've had to learn this, you guys have had to teach me, and I've learned this, and and I've always had a big picture mindset as well. Like I know that the groundwork and the things that we do consistently over time create big results down the road. But sometimes it's a hard pill. It's a hard concept to swallow as an entrepreneur. But I would encourage the listeners out there, encourage you to really understand the difference, because you have to invest in your brand consistently right now and forever, and always, have a little budget to just make sure you're always investing in that brand, because the ROI is a long-term ROI, and it's going to pay itself back in multiples over time. And it's hard to swallow that right now, but I can promise you, for someone coming into a brand new, very, very, very competitive market, and within, 5 years, 10 years, now 15 years, it took a long time, but now we've created an arena where, we always are at the top, and we always kind of dominate in a lot of different areas because of the consistency and the commitment we've made to building that brand and leaning into that brand. As let's try to give some tips to those who are looking at finding it. So here's the deal. Here's a takeaway that I've gotten just from hanging out with you guys and talking to you here. And at the end of the day, we can all be sold one thing or another. And it's like, I can't even open an email. You can't go online. You can't see nothing. There's a million roofers, but there's a million marketing companies out there as well. Right. And my biggest takeaway is, if you're going to, if you're in the market looking for a marketing company, you're looking for somebody to work with, it's just that you have to find someone to work with. This isn't a transaction-based relationship. This is a relationship, a long-term thing. And you need to look for a company that is always educating themselves. And like I kind of called you out earlier, but borderline obsessed about the education, about the journey, about learning and growing and custom tailoring every single client's needs with their results and their demand, because every market's different. Every company's different. In one market, Google local service ads could dominate. In another market, it can be complete trash. But if you have a marketing company that's out there just like, here's my blueprint, cookie cutter, check X, Y, and Z, and we're going to do the same thing over and over, that doesn't work. What else would you say about just for someone looking for a marketing partner? What are some key things that they should be looking for?
Oh my gosh, we talk about this all the time. But one of the big things would just be asking them how they're going to measure their success for you, because success to you could look completely different than somebody down the street. So, and they should have an answer for that. And it should be a conversation. They shouldn't just be able to tell you that without you also talking to them about what matters to you and to your business and what your goals are. But finding that out right out the gate, so you're not asking later on, like, oh, wait, I don't really like this deal. That didn't matter to me as much. And that might sound obvious, but a lot of times people, once they decide to pick an agency, they're just like, let's go. And they don't stop to have some of these conversations. And also just learning what you can expect in terms of communication with them. If they want you to write a check and check out, keep moving. Because for it to be effective, it really, really has to be a partnership where you're communicating a lot, you're sharing, you're giving feedback on the lead quality that you're getting, you're giving them feedback on the content they're producing for you, that it's just a conversation and they truly feel like an extension of your team. And the only way that can happen is for there to be a really symbiotic relationship where you're in really consistent communication with each other.
Love that.
And I would say the other thing is that during that first discovery call, when you're, shopping out agencies, I would see how many questions they ask you about your business, because you might have heard about SEO on a podcast and you think you need, that's the solution you need. But a really good agency is going to have a discovery call with you. They're going to ask you about your business, where you're at, what your pipeline looks like, because you might think you want SEO, but if you tell me you need the phone to ring tomorrow, I'm not going to recommend that we start with SEO. I might recommend some concurrent services. I might say, what's your budget? Let's start with this and then move into that. But someone who cares about you and your business is not going to sell you a solution. They're going to listen to the problem and then maybe suggest a solution. A lot of times people are solution aware when you're coming to an agency, but that it doesn't mean that's the right solution for your business. So I would take into account that first discovery call with an agency and see how much they invest in learning about you before they try to sell you something or send out a proposal.
I love that. And that's a massive sales tip for anyone out there in the sales business as well. Ask questions, listen, and then find solutions. Ask questions, listen, find solutions. Like, what a concept. Like that simple thing. If you can apply that to your marriage, apply it to life, apply it to everything you do. Like, shut up and listen, right? And it's funny because I coach baseball, right? And they tell my kids, like, well, why did God give you 2 ears and 1 mouth? Because it's twice as important to listen as it is to talk. So shut up and listen. But man, it's been so much fun hanging out with you guys, and all fantastic piece of advice. And at the end of the day, you've got to look at the big picture when it comes to marketing and branding and online and your partnership there. And you've got to invest in somebody that cares, that actually wants to walk alongside you, be involved in the journey, that you can actually get along with. But here's the thing. You have to be involved, right? Here's my biggest piece of advice in this, and from a business owner to someone who's, listening, another entrepreneur, the business owner out there. Marketing, especially digital marketing, is not an easy button. It's not just click a button, write a check, and stand back and count your, it's not just Scrooge McDuck diving into your box, right? You have to actually be involved, because at the end of the day, your brand and your image and your marketing and your company is a direct reflection of you. My company is a direct reflection of me and my vision and my partner's vision and what we want to try to accomplish as a business. And if we're not involved in the communication and being able to articulate that to a marketing partner, and the marketing partner has to be able to ask the questions like we just talked about to get that information, and then to take that information and translate it into a well thought out, very intentional marketing strategy, it doesn't work, right? So we have to do those things, and you have to be a part of it, and just know that it's a long journey. It's a commitment, and you have to be willing to make the commitment and show up to the meetings and answer the questions and be a part of it, because at the end of the day, it's who we are, and it's why we start businesses. There's no easy button.
Yeah, marketing is a service, not a product. You buy a product, you check out, you're done. Marketing is a service, not a product. Think of it that way and it'll be great.
Love it. And there it is. There's our golden nugget. You guys have been so awesome to hang out with. It's been fun. Thank you so much for taking time in your day. Thank you so much for all you do for the industry. And congrats, by the way. Did you guys just get a really nice accolade of being one of the top female-owned marketing companies, like 1%ers? What I hear?
Yeah, well, it's only 1% of all female-owned marketing agencies have more than $1 million recurring annual revenue. So we're part of that 1%.
High five to you. Incredible work. You guys are brilliant. Thank you so much for all you do for the industry and for us. It's been an awesome time hanging out with you. How do we get a hold of you?
You visit our website, elevmarketing.com, elevmarketing.com. And when you're there, interact with our chatbot. We have a couple of different things you guys can check out. There's an SEO checklist to determine whether you're ready for SEO. And we also offer a 30-minute online visibility check with us directly if you want to explore that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Devon Hayes, Amanda Joyce, Elevation Marketing. That's elevmarketing.com. Thank you so much for joining us today.